Hi, I'm Troy, and welcome back to another on-the-road video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Stop. Before beginning any repair, always be sure to disconnect the power to the appliance. It is also recommended to test the outlet for proper voltage. Today we're working on the Maytag Bravos dryer. This unit has a cosmetic defect. It was delivered with a damaged top. The back corner looks to be damaged from the factory, so what we're doing is removing the top and going to replace it. By doing so, we have to change out the control board and all the parts associated with it underneath. So now we're going to go ahead and remove the 2 screws, one on each side of this cover plate. Once that's removed, there's a couple other screws we have to remove so we can then access to remove the top from the unit. The tools needed to complete this repair is a 1/4 inch nut driver. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the 2 screws. And then there's 2 additional screws, one that appears to be on each side that is holding it in place. With that removed, we're now going to have access to the screws, one on each side, that we're going to go ahead and remove. Once those are removed, the top will be free, and then we're going to go ahead and access and remove the control panel. Once the screws are free and the unit is loose, we're going to be able to slide it back. When it's slid back, we should be able to lift it up. So now the top is free, we're going to go ahead and get the control panel removed. To remove this control panel, it's like most Maytag or Whirlpool control panels. Under this front lip under here are 2 clips that you depress and it comes up. If you're looking to avoid any kind of damage to your control panel, you can do what I'm going to do. And what I'm going to do is tilt the unit up. With the top panel up, we have the 2 clips, one on each side. I'm going to access them from the bottom so that I do not damage the top, the control panel, when I am removing it. So first thing we're going to do is push these tabs in. They basically will just squeeze right down and then push back up out of the unit. And do it on the other side as well. Once you have that pushed up, set your top back down. Your top back down, you can now tip up and access your control panel. On this one, we have to remove the back cover. On some of them you don't, so we're going to remove this back cover before lifting this up any further. This panel is held in place by a few screws, 1, 2, 3, and that's all that's left in there. So we're going to take those 3 off now. Move your panel and set it aside. Slide back forward. Slide the control panel forward. You can tip it up. You're going to have 1 or 2 harnesses that connect to it. For this harness, it's got a push tab. We're going to go ahead and just push it and slide them apart. This one on the control board has a tab that you're going to push to one side, and when you release that tab, you're then going to be able to pull the harness out. Once you've done that, you can set your control panel off to the side. With the control panel off to the side, we're just going to remove the control board. We're not going to disconnect any wires from it. Any additional wires besides the one we had to take off to remove the control panel. We're going to take the one screw out. With that screw out, you should be able to slide the control board to one side. It'll now expose its tabs. You can lift it up and set that aside. You can remove the unit top easily and freely. You're going to set that aside, and if you want to see on this one how it is damaged, on this particular one, these two screws, there's one on each side. You can see this one is flat coming here, and this one is dented or bent in. That being bent in is not allowing it to set flush on the front of the unit. So we're going to remove that and put the new one on, and then reattach all the parts we've removed. All right, so with your new top, we're going to go ahead and set it back in place. There are on the front two little up tabs, one on each side, that actually underside of your top slide over, secure it down in the front. So you're going to start with the top back a little bit. With the back a little bit, you're going to pull it forward slightly until it gets across the dampener. You're going to make sure it's under the tabs, and you're going to pull it back forward. With it pulled back forward, you're now going to go ahead and put the screws back in the back to hold the unit in place. So now we're going to go ahead and put the other screw in to secure the top down. The top is now secured, and now we're going to go ahead and put the control panel back in position. So with the top secured in place, we're going to take our control board, we're going to set it back in position. It does have two tabs. The tabs are going to set in the holes where they go. There's also one on the back side. Once you get the tabs in where they go, you're going to slide the control board over until the screw hole is now exposed. You're going to take one of your screws and reattach the control board. With the control board reattached, from there what we can do is go ahead to put the control panel back in place. You want to make sure that you take your text sheet, put your text sheet back inside the control panel so it's there for when and if you ever do need it. Now with the control panel in hand, I'm going to take and just position it towards the back. We're going to plug the plugs back in. They are key specific, so you can't put them in the wrong spot, and you put the tab back into the control board. Now we're going to go ahead and attach the 3-prong. Once you have the 3-prong back in position, we can now put the control panel back on. Now you'll notice that on the control panel there are these tabs in the back, a little notch, and then your clip. This tab slides in this back hole on each side. So when you position this, you're going to push these in to the top and then push down the whole control panel at one time. So you set in position, they fall in the spot, make sure they're in there, and then the control panel will push back down. It may take a little bit of pushing, but you'll be able to get it back in there. The next step we're going to do is put the cover back on the control panel. So you're going to take your control panel cover, the back cover for it, and you're going to set it back in position. Once you have it back in an approximate position, you're going to go ahead and reattach the screws back here where they go. So I'm going to go ahead and get the 3 started. Once they're started, I'm going to use my 1/4-inch driver and go ahead and tighten them down. Now that I've got those screws tightened down, I'm going to go ahead and reattach the final 4 screws to the back of the unit. Okay, so now with our final cover in hand, we're going to reattach this one to the unit as well. We're going to set it back in the location where it goes and then reattach our 4 final screws. Now that we have the final screws in, the unit now has its top replaced. The damaged part has been replaced. We're gonna go ahead and plug the unit back in and test it to make sure it starts back up and that our connections are good inside by the control board. And that completes our repair. Thank you for watching another quality repair video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.